Welcome back, it's me, Lou, and today's going to be a special kind of video. I'm going to talk about making your own custom Eternian Royal Guard like this guy. Now, what I'm about to show you in terms of my custom, it's kind of just a fill-in. It's not a complete replacement for this. This is more so if you need your quick fix and you need a Royal Guard like ASAP. As of this recording, it's June 9th, 2021. And I think it was just the other day when I got an email notice from Big Bad Toy Store saying that they were going to offer this figure as an exclusive. And, you know, surprise, surprise, it sold out pretty fast. So if you're like me and you kind of waited too long to hit, pre-order, or if you were too busy contemplating it, or you thought you'd come back to it later, but now it's gone, this is for you. This is a very quick and easy and cheap way of taking a Man-at-Arms figure and giving you a figure that kind of resembles this. And yeah, so let's get started. All right, so as I stated earlier, so the other day I got an email notice from Big Bad Toy Store, and it said that Eternian Royal Guard was going to be up for pre-order, and it was going to be an exclusive. I remember I was kind of out and about at the time when I got the email. I was actually, I think I was actually out figure hunting, to be honest. And I got the email, and I looked at it. I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat. And my first thought was, I'll come back to this later, because I was kind of busy. I think I was in the store, and I figured I'd just look at it later and decide then if I wanted to pre-order it or not. I mean, the thing is, I do want this figure, but it didn't really dawn on me that it was going to be hard to get, kind of like the PowerCon exclusives. So I kind of sat on it, and I came back to it a couple of hours later, and then there was a notice saying that if you pre-ordered the figure before, like, I think 10 a.m., you're guaranteed to get the figure by September. But if you placed your pre-order after 10 a.m., you wouldn't get your order until December. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of nuts. And then I'm like, whatever. And I just closed my app and just, I was like, kind of like, I'll think about it again. Because, see, I didn't want to pre-order something and then wait until, like, 5 or 6 months until I get it. And then later in the evening, I was looking at the Big Bad Toy Store website again, and when I went to the page, this thing was completely sold out. So, all the orders for September and December, gone, just like that. So, I kind of went into desperation mode, and I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. I had the opportunity to pre-order it, and I passed it up. I mean, since day one, since we got Man-at-Arms, I kind of wanted a guard, at least 2 of them. So what they're offering in terms of the exclusive figure is that the Eternian Royal Guard includes a base figure, and the head is basically the clean-shaven Man-at-Arms. I can't tell here. I'm not sure if they just didn't paint the mustache or if this is the different head that came with the Lords of Power exclusive. But it looks like this is it looks like in terms of the body armor, it's the stock retail Man-at-Arms chest armor. You also get the Royal Guard head, and it's essentially looks like Man-at-Arms, but it's not Man-at-Arms. It's more of a generic guard, and they just cover his face with kind of like a faceplate, face mask kind of deal. And it looks like he comes with the same armor on his left arm, same forearm piece, and the same shin guard. But in addition to those, you get additional armor pieces to complete the right arm. So you have a full set of armor, not like Man-at-Arms where it just kind of comes with half of it. And you get the swappable chest piece, which is at the actual Royal Eternian Guard. For those of you who remember, the old Classics figure that came out years ago, I believe it was a 2-pack, and it came with this body armor. So what I'm proposing to do here or demonstrate to you is that I'm not going to give you this finished figure. At the very least, I'm going to provide you with the know-how and the tools to at least create something that looks like the head. My attitude is, if you can at least get the head onto this body, it's kind of a good fill-in for a Royal Guard. So let's take a look at some of the royal guards as they were seen in the animation. So here's some screen grabs I found online. Here's one with Tila, and there's guards here. And as you can see, their chest armor kind of resembles this piece here. And then they have the full body armor. They have both shin guards, and they have the forearm guards and the upper arm guards. And their helmets kind of resemble the masked head, minus some of the details. And then here's another screen grab I found online of more Eternian guards. So you can see there's actually variation in the costumes. Not only do they have this armor, but some of the guardsmen even have armor that resembles Man-at-Arms, seen on the right. So we have Man-at-Arms, and his chest armor, we can see it on a couple of the other guards in the background. So if you wanted to make a guard that wore the Man-at-Arms armor, you know, in terms of the animation lore, it's okay. Let's talk about what you need to do to make at least the head look like this guy. Alright, so one thing I was considering is that when I was looking at some of those photos of the royal guards, my attitude was, you know, I can easily... one of the easiest ways you can make a different royal guard, as you can see here, some of these guys aren't wearing the mask. You can easily just take the Man-at-Arms head and just repaint it. You know, either change his flesh tone so it's a different character. Maybe instead of just the mustache, give him a beard, or give him different hair color. Like instead of being like this black or dark brown, you know, maybe you could make it a gray bearded character, or like, you know, a redhead or a lighter brunette, or even a blonde guy. So that's one option. You know, this if you want to go the easy route and make a generic royal guard, you could keep the stock body, but just change the head enough and the face. Just repaint it so it looks like a different character, so it doesn't look like Duncan here. Or what you could do is, one of the things I was considering also is swapping out the heads. And I'm like, okay, maybe I could dig through some of my other action figure lines and see if I have an armored head. You know, it might not necessarily look like this, but something that's kind of in that realm of it could look like a guard, or like a, you know, a figure of that sort, or a soldier. And I found this in my Marvel Legends. This is kind of an armored generic soldier face, soldier head. I believe this one came with the Hydra 2-pack, and I think it was initially introduced with maybe Nick Fury, and you'd swap out the Nick Fury head, and you'd put this on, and it looked like some random SHIELD soldier. But surprisingly, some of the Marvel Legends figures, their ball socket actually fits on the Masters figures. So, I mean, the neck's a little high, but with the face guard guarding it, you know, you can easily say this is a Royal Guard character. The only thing you need to do is just repaint the helmet and the mask, just so it kind of more closely resembles something like this. So you'd probably want to go with like a sky blue, and, you know, maybe change the color of the visor. And where there's yellow accents, you know, you could just probably recolor some of these pieces yellow. So that was one option I was considering. Another option I was considering to make a different character that kind of resemble a guard is, you know, instead of swapping on a helmeted guy, maybe I could swap on a non-helmeted face, and just say it's, you know, maybe it's a guard that's kind of casually off duty, or he's not fully geared up. And this is another Marvel's Legend head. I want to say this might have came with the, maybe this came with the Hydra 2-pack also, or maybe the AIM 2-pack. And this head plugs in also. And as you see, it's actually a decent fit for a Masters figure. It's a little bit large like a Masters figure head, and it has much more of a cartoon look. So I can easily slap this head on this figure and say, hey, this is a off-duty guard, or this is a guard that's not fully like armored up. And, you know, this could pass off as a Royal Guard. But both those options were stuff I was considering, and but part of me was kind of like, you know, I still really want something that's more true to form of what we see here. And I made peace with the fact that I might not be able to make this armor. I mean, I could, but at the same time, I wanted to create a custom thing that I could share with other people online, so that if you didn't have the customizing or modeling skills, this would be something that you can easily take on and create a guard for yourself. So I'm like, okay, let's at least focus on the head. If I could provide you with the tools and the know-how to make, at least to convert the man-at-arms head into a royal guard head, you know, mission accomplished. So I kind of sat at my kitchen table and I was like looking at this guy, and I was looking at him. I'm like, this is actually two plastic pieces. My assumption at first was that maybe the head was one piece and it just painted the flesh on, but then I was looking at it, I'm like, no, this is actually two separate pieces. There's the flesh-colored head, and it looks like the helmet's a separate piece. And I took my fingernail, I was just kind of prying it a little. I'm like, oh, it's kind of separating. And then I kind of pulled a little bit further, and lo and behold, this comes off. Now, it was pretty easy for me to take this off, and I did it again on a second figure. Your success might vary depending on how much glue they used. For me, they didn't use as much glue, so I didn't have to pull this off as hard. My suggestion is take your finger and pry it a little and see how snug it is. If it's kind of like fighting you and it's not coming off, I'd recommend putting this like in boiling water just to soften the plastic and to kind of heat the glue and soften the glue. But otherwise, this thing just comes right off. And once this came off, my thought was, hey, I got a helmet here. Maybe I could put this on like another figure and just create a new head altogether. In theory, that could work. Going back to this head, it seems like it'd be a perfect match if I could put this helmet onto this head. But as you can see here, the head's a little big and it won't fit. And that's mostly because the original Man-at-Arms head, it's not a perfect round head. It's almost like it almost kind of like tapers up, so it gets thinner at the top. And you can see there's some sockets in here. So it would be possible to mount this onto here, but you'd have to like make some modifications to this head, possibly cut parts of it off, shave it down, remove parts of the ears, and you would be able to get it on them. But at the same time, I'm not sure how much that would affect the socket. So then I was like, okay, we'll drop that idea. At the very least, let's try to figure out a way I can make a mask. So my first thought was, okay, maybe I could take Sculpey or epoxy putty or green stuff and just mold a mask over it, which in theory I could do, but that kind of defeats the purpose of what I wanted to do initially. As I've said before, I want to be able to create a custom that I could share with other fans so that, you know, if they don't have the modeling skills, they can make something very easy. And I just kind of sat there and I'm like, okay, what could I do? What could I do? And I'm like, let's just take a piece of paper and let's just see, you know, try to fold it over the face and see, you know, as a template and see what I could work with. And lo and behold, I had this. It's Post-it notes, and it's from the actual Post-it brand, and they're kind of sticky on one side, and the blue is almost a perfect match for this. So I was just kind of randomly fiddling around with this. And I was like, you know what, let's take this and let's, you know, just cut off a piece of it. And let's mess around with it on the head and see what I could do. So I took a piece of this, ripped it off, and then I kind of placed it over the face just to see how I could get the colors to match or whatnot. And let me fold it a little to clean it up. So I took this Post-it note and I kind of folded it over, and then I attached the head back on, and then lo and behold, I kind of had something that I could work with. It's not perfect, and then I'm like, you know what, this might work. So it's like, all right, as I stated in the beginning of this video, this is a very bootleg, cheap, affordable you know, it's very it's not going to cost you a lot, and it's a very simple method to create a royal guard. And the easiest way to do it is you can just take some blue Post-it notes, cut it to the right size, and fold it and tuck it under the helmet and adjust it to how you see fit, and then you kind of have a royal guard head. And it's very bootleg, and it's not perfect, but it's a fill-in. But at the same time, part of me is kind of like, you know what? half the people here aren't going to buy into this. They're going to think it looks like crap. So I'm like, okay, let's take it a step further. What could I do to produce something that looks a little bit more professional, but still using the same materials, and it's not going to cost you anything but maybe a piece of paper? So I went into Photoshop, and I designed a mask in Photoshop, printed it out, and it looks like this. So what you do here is you take this, and this is gonna fold over the face. It's already kind of measured out. So what you're gonna do is I'll provide the template also. Well, I'll talk about that in a minute. But essentially, I designed a new mask in Photoshop that you could print out on. I'd suggest print it out on glossy stock, just because glossy stock's a little bit thicker. But it works perfectly fine on just normal copy paper. You know, you can print it out, and it's perfectly measured out. So you're gonna take this edge here, and then line it up with the beginning of the socket there, and then you just wrap it around the face, and it'll meet on the other side. But to help you keep it in place, what I would suggest is using double-sided tape and apply it on the back of the mask, just so that when you put this on, it doesn't shift around. It kind of keeps it stationary. And then once it's in place, you can slap the helmet on. And let me show you what it looks like. I actually have one here. So it looks like this. So it's not perfect, you know. Don't crucify me over this. It's a very simple and effective way, and if you just need a guard in your display and you can't wait till September or December, or you know, this works perfectly fine. It's clean, it's detailed, the colors match, and it's not going to cost you anything but a sheet of paper, and all you have to do is print it out, and as I mentioned earlier, you just wrap it around the head and place the helmet back on, and it looks decent. It's paper, so it's not going to be as durable as plastic, but it gets the job done. You have a quick and easy fixed Royal Guard. And if you have another Royal Guard figure on hand, you can even modify it further. You could give him 2 shoulder pads to flesh him out even further, so he looks a little bit more like a guard than a man-at-arms. And it looks better. You know, you had the other forearm here, you had the other leg armor here, and then you kind of have a full-on guard. But it's like I said, this is paper. You know, if you can live with the fact that you're working with paper, it's a great, you know, substitute for this until this comes out. Or you could go the other route, go online, and there's people that are actually offering resin or 3D printed heads that already look like this one, that look like the Royal Guard. But be prepared to pay, you know, upwards towards $20 just for a new head. Whereas this, all it is just going to cost you a sheet of paper. So another thing I was thinking of is that for the more advanced customizer, you can use the template I gave you, and if you know what you're doing, you could possibly transfer this onto like thin plastic, and you know, make a plastic guard, but using this as kind of like almost like a decal or sticker to give it the detail, or use this as a template to size out a piece of putty or like Sculpey or green stuff, and use this to like help you actually sculpt a mask over the face. So in the description below, I'll provide a link, hopefully to maybe a Dropbox file, and you could download the masks for yourself that I designed. There's three different versions. There's a version with 3 vents in it. It's a little detailed. There's one where it says completely blue. It's bare, so it's gonna look more like this mask here, where there's nothing going on. It's just a plain blue mask. Or there's the more fully detailed one that I designed, which looks like this. And if you download this file, I recommend don't print it from your web browser. Download the file first to your computer, and then print it if possible in maybe like a image manipulation program, like maybe Paint or like Photoshop. And the reason why I say that is because if you're working like in Windows and you hit print, it might try sizing this up so it fits the whole sheet of the paper. The file I already kind of pre-sized at 8 by 10, and that's one of the default sizes in Windows Gallery and Windows Photo, so it should print out to scale. But if you print it out and you find out the mask is too large, you might have to fill around with the settings and the scaling until it comes out just right. Otherwise, if you could print it out at 8 by 10 or the actual size, just do that. But like I said, don't print it from your web browser. Download the file first, and then print it from like a image software program. So there's 3 different face mask offerings. I give you a bunch of them, so if you mess up the first few times, you can just keep on printing them out. I suggest printing it on glossier stock, just because it's a little, or photo paper or glossy stock, just because it's a little bit thicker. But you don't want the stock to be too thick, or you're going to have issues trying to keep the helmet snug on the head. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so let's wrap this up. So, if you're like me and you failed to pre-order the Eternian guard, but you kind of want one, and if you want an Eternian guard and you have the skills to customize one, hopefully this will give you ideas on what you could do. If you don't have any modeling or customizing skills, hopefully this is the very bare minimum, very basic that even you can do. All you need is a printer, a sheet of paper, and some double-sided tape. Cut these out, and as I've mentioned before, all you have to do is this. Take this, line it up. So here's the one socket, line it up, wrap it around, make sure the tape's holding it on nice and snug, and this reattach the helmet. And this is the final result. So, go out there and, if you really want a Royal Guard, this is the quick and fast, easy fix. If you're one of those people that were lucky enough to get the pre-order, I congratulate you, and hopefully, waiting until September, December isn't too bad. And I don't know. I'll talk to you guys later. But thanks again for checking out this video. I hope you found it informative. I'm not the most hardcore Masters of the Universe fan, but I wanted to make a custom, and at the same time, I didn't want to be selfish. I wanted to create something that at least it was enough that if you're had very minimal modeling skills, this would be something that you can create. The Masters of the Universe Origins lines is amazing. I love it a lot. But man, it's so hard. I mean, some of these exclusives, they're killing me, and I kind of just wish they'd focus on the retail end more than the online exclusive end, but that's just the way the business model is right now. So, I don't know, not much else to say. So, take care and feel free to drop by anytime. Talk to you later.